have a quorum, so I'll begin. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting in a hybrid model, both virtually and in person. The Cemetery Committee is conducting this meeting April 5th, 2023 at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Zoom platform and in person, and in accordance with the town policy directive and guidelines issued on April 1st, 2020 and amended on May 7th. If you are recognized, please state your name and address. This meeting is being recorded. So we've called to order. The meeting is being videotaped and audio recorded. So I, Brian Davidson, hereby call this meeting to order. All committee votes will be taken via roll call. We will start with an intended roll call of committee members. When I announce your name, please reply. Rod Rydell, here. Jerry Susie, here. Jeff Waltman, here. And Brian Davidson, here. Great, so the deed signing is the next. So I'll be doing that after the meeting. Thanks, Tish. Sorry about being here a little late.
No.
And then our next proposed cemetery committee meeting is May 3rd, 2023. Do you feel like we'll have a quorum there? People able to attend? Terrific, great. Moving along to A5, approval of minutes, February 1st, 2023. Did everybody have a chance to review those minutes? I had one change that I sent to Justine, which was D6. I didn't attend the historical commission. I observed it on the YouTube. So we just made that small change. So if I could get, is there anybody else have any other comments or changes to the minutes? Good, good. Okay, great. So then if I could get a motion to accept the cemetery committee minutes for February 1st, 2023 as edited. So moved. Second? Second. Thanks, Jim. All right, I'll do a roll call. Myself, I'm an aye. Jerry?
Aye.
Yeah. Aye. Rod? Aye. Terrific, great. All right, so I think we are then to our discussion and action items. So D1, would we like to wait for Aaron to come to provide that, or Tish, did you want to provide a staff update?
If you are, I can tell you what I know, and maybe Aaron can add to it when he arrives. Basically, just been working on spring cleanup stuff, and Sleepy Hollow picked up winter holiday decorations, plow guides, all that stuff, raking out some loam damage, some plow damage, and started working downtown in the two cemeteries, cleaning those up for spring, doing leaves. PO is open for the columbarium, but I think we're working on planning a committee meeting.
Okay.
Columbarium committee meeting.
Yeah,
I think we have to pull that together with the vendor.
yes, we had to wait till the PO was open in order to engage services. So yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Mausoleum update, I think, is just still in the process.
Mhm.
Yeah. No money yet,
Okay,
but it's on its way.
good.
Supposedly, yes. In February, we had 3 cremation interments, 2 single graves were sold. And in March, 2 full burials, 2 cremation interments, and 3 cremation lots were sold. Slow, winter's always slow. And that's about it.
Yeah, we're re-engaging with Einstein.
Oh, yeah.
For
Yep.
their next installment of their contract.
They should be in possibly next week, for sure the week after, to start their cleanup.
Right.
Yep.
Excellent.
I have a quick question on the columbarium. I know we have subcommittee, but is the RFP available for review? Is it online or in our file somewhere? I'd kind of like to take a look.
Sure.
I wasn't involved when we got started on that, but I'd like to be aware of what the RFP actually scoped out.
Yeah, I will. I'll talk to Aaron about it, but it's not online, but we have it. Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
It's when Andrea was on the committee, she was actually our original subcommittee chair. So it's been a process. So the RFP was a great success to get that out. So I'm happy to share that, and sounds great. We're continuing with that and keeping that momentum going. And there's a desire for it in town, so that would be lovely. Does anyone else have any comments or questions for the cemetery staff report?
One other question on the same topic. There was comment in the minutes that the site is still being identified. Is that part of the subcommittee effort? The site for it?
Pretty
I
much,
think it's pretty much
have
identified.
a strong idea, which is, Jeff, it's, as you go around the circle at the knoll, there's on the left side, if you're entering that circle, there is a walkway and some stairs. And we're going to try and put it, feel as though that is the spot for it. And we're going to do this a little bit of a decline in the hill there. And I think we're going to try and build it into that. And then there's also a little bit of the pond or water, at least kind of, cat pond, marshy area that would be able to kind of be there to look out. So probably when you enter, you might not see a lot of the columbarium, but as you go around, people have kind of commented, I guess, Vietnam Memorial-esque. I don't know if you've been to that in DC. The more you go into it, the more, the more you're taken by it type of thing. But at first, it doesn't look like quite a bit.
So facing the wetlands, the main face of it would be facing the wetlands.
So, and that's our ideas. I think so. The RFP is to get a designer, so I mean, so I would say we're preliminary. I mean, this is kind of just our talk.
Yeah, how I've pictured it in my head is your back would be to the wetlands as you look at. But it depends on what they come back with for a design. I honestly don't have any idea. That's just what's been in my head.
Yeah.
Towards it, there was a little pond out there. I don't think it has a name. I call it Palumbo Pond because Joe Palumbo dug it for watering that field 100 years ago. So it doesn't have a name. Be nice to name it, but Palumbo Pond.
Colombo Pond.
Yes. But hopefully we can't clear too much to the water because of the rules, but maybe make just viewable areas. It's up to natural resources, obviously.
But the RFP very much is, it's not a construction RFP. It's very much the design. And
Yeah.
talking. So, we are still preliminary, very preliminary. And, we've had thoughts of what we'd like to see, but whether or not that's feasible, that's hopefully what the design team will let us know. Cost, of course. So that's what we'd like to do. I think there are other areas, perhaps, if a designer said, cost and design and whatnot, that we need to pivot to, but I think that's really where we'd like to put it.
What's nice about using this area is it's already cost us money. In the original design for that section, we built a set of granite steps. We built a walkway that went there, and that's where some lots were supposed to go. The premium lots that overlooked the pond. And then when we actually built it, found that we couldn't dig there because of the wetland delineation. So, yeah. So it's already cost us money. We have steps that go to nothing. Let's use them. Yeah.
But we're okay to put whatever foundation or slab.
Yeah, it wouldn't be where the graves were going to be.
Okay.
People would be standing where the graves were going to be. Yeah.
Justine, could Jeff, thank you for offering to do your homework, which is great. Could you make the RFP available to all the community members?
Sure.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Be good to have a reminder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Great. Any other questions for staff? All right, hearing none. Thank you for the report. Appreciate that, Tiff. So we'll move to D2, lot repurchase, Montague family.
Okay, William Montague owns K-12 in Chestnut Hollow, a vacant 2-grave lot that he bought many years ago and no longer has a need for. He wants to sell it back to us for its current half of its current value, $2,200. No reason why we wouldn't. It's lot K-12 in Chestnut Hollow.
A pretty routine.
Yeah.
Pretty routine purchase. Mentioned that. Any questions from the committee at all?
How long is the waiting list for people wanting to purchase lots?
81 people.
So you're not going to buy for a while.
Yeah. Terrific. So if I could get a motion to accept the repurchase of the Montague family lot.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, so Jeff, I'll go to a roll call. Jeff?
Aye.
Aye. Rod?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
No. Terrific. So moving along to D3, lot repurchase, O'Connor family.
Well, this is Gretchen and John O'Connor, who purchased a cremation lot at L41 Linden Path and no longer have a need to use that. So want to resell it back to the town for the original purchase price of $850.
Bargain in today's money. So great. So any discussion on the O'Connell family?
O'Connor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Terrific. Hearing none. Is there a motion to repurchase the O'Connor family lot?
So moved.
Second. Second. Thank you, Jeff. Do a roll call vote. Jerry?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
And myself as an aye. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving along. No family purchase request, D4.
So I will introduce this, but we do have the Noak family here. If they do want to say anything, you guys feel free to jump in.
All right. Yeah, no,
Thank
thanks.
The Noak family currently owns 6 graves in the new section of the cemetery. To accommodate their family better, what they'd like to do is trade those 6 and purchase an additional 10. So own a 16 grave lot in the new section at the cemetery to provide for space, obviously for future use, but plan to also disinter some family members from the old section and move them to the new section. Anything over 6 has to be approved by the cemetery committee. So this would be a 16 grave purchase, basically.
Good. Of which they already have 6.
They do. So it'd be a 10 additional.
10 additional.
Yep.
Good.
Yep. Big family.
Tish, just as a point of information, disinterment, is there, please remind me what the fee structure, is that a permit, is disinterment require permission from the committee or?
No. Nope.
And there's established fees already
Yes.
for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
It's all
Yep.
set. Okay.
Yep.
D Funeral Home would be handling this.
And to remind me, I feel like I have memories of, we have allowed purchases up to this historically, the commission.
We have more,
accepted
yeah.
that, especially with large families who want to stay together, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah, right.
lovely idea. It's for eternity. You guys are aware of that. though.
That's right. Well, that's what my line has been. We're gonna be there longer than we're here.
All right. Wonderful, wonderful. Does the committee have any questions for the Noakes or for Tish? Great. So seeing no need for further discussion, I'd like to make a motion to accept the Noak family purchase request.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right. So Rod, I'll switch it up. I'll go with you.
Aye.
Roll call. All right, Jim. Aye. Jerry?
Aye.
Myself is an aye as well. So good luck with all the transfers.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
everyone.
All right. Have a
you.
good
See
day.
you guys later.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Call me if
you.
you want to bring a check by.
Okay, yeah, we'll do. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so terrific. So now we have the tough crew coming in here. Film application B5, Friends of Sleepy Hollow. And I don't know, I see we have Kevin and some there's the Friends of the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Would you like to present, Kevin, your proposal? I know we've all received the information in our packet and we have reviewed it as well. So
Sure.
we're not unfamiliar with the plan.
Okay. My name is Kevin Thomas Plazik, and I live at 98 Baker Avenue here in town. The Friends of Sleepy Hollow are longstanding members. Move up short, Kevin, so you're on the screen. There you go. Perfect. The Friends of Sleepy Hollow Cemetery is long-term members of the Concord Chamber of Commerce. And the chamber has gone through a revitalization of itself in the last, I would say, year to 18 months. And one of the features that they offer to members is to do a 3 to 5 minute film presentation, which they then put on their website, Others who have already done this, it's a rather recent innovation, have been the Concord Flower Shop celebrating their 40th anniversary. The current one on there is the total revamping of Revolutionary Concord by Murray Foley, the proprietor of the Emporium. And they have invited us to do something in the cemetery to once again offer further exposure of the Friends of Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. The proposal would be that they would have their own photographer, their own videographer, I should say, and he or she would probably station us in one or two positions in the cemetery, probably at either the former Pritchard Gate, or the Pritchard Gate, or the Melvin Memorial. And yours truly would give a 3 to 5 minute introduction to the Friends, what we have accomplished in the cemetery over the last 20 years, and would show our 3 publications and kind of maybe even some photos of some of the things that we've done in the cemetery over the last two decades. So that's basically the proposal.
Wonderful, wonderful.
It would give us a little bit of publicity and obviously to the cemetery.
And the videos and the photos, aren't particular of any, common person's grave or anything.
No, that is not the intent.
And just to show the beautiful gardens and benches that the Friends have put in over the years, as well as a number of other.
And we may wait, we needed a good day, obviously, a sunny day, and we may wait until the main flagpole of our group has gone in and put in the plantings for the spring and summer, so that it looks a little bit more attractive than now.
Not too far away from all.
Right.
30 minutes. Great. So I just open it up for any questions from our committee members.
Just one question, Tish. Kevin, I'm going to ask Tish to comment on this. Any of the pictures that involve gravestones, any of the gravestones that were presented, do they offer any obstacles with respect to?
So I think that's the second request.
Right.
Oh,
That's the second
Okay,
request.
so
So what
these were-
he's proposing right now is a video, not
Right.
still photography. It's a video, kind of a interview with Kevin at either the Melvin Memorial or the,
But weren't you going to
Question.
say in the video, you're going to include example, or are you going to talk about examples or present?
No, for
Examples of what has
pamphlets.
been done?
I would show a picture of the Hanley Garden, for example.
Sure.
Where nobody is buried, it's just a
Right.
tribute to the Hanley family.
Okay.
And show pictures, either show the actual publications we have or pictures of them. But we would totally avoid any particular.
so possibly, because the publication
monument.
on the pamphlet has some pictures that are not approved.
Okay, so we'll talk about that.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
I have a question. How do you propose, would we look at your script? I'm just trying to figure out how do we clarify the distinction between the Friends and the actual cemetery and the committee in the town. So it doesn't seem like the Friends run the cemetery.
No, I've had several experiences already in either putting that into written form or have done several presentations. We're doing one next week, for example, at the Harvey Wheeler Center for the retired folks. And we've done it already for the Concord Rotary. And the text is totally about us. I begin by stating our mission. We do mention the fact that we enjoy a collaborative connection with the cemetery committee and with the cemetery supervisor and with DPW. And but it's totally about what we do, and our mission is to enhance, to support the beautification and the enrichment about Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. So it's pretty distinct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay, so seeing no further discussion amongst the committee, I think we're ready to perhaps entertain a motion. So
But there were,
Oh,
there
I'm
were
sorry.
two, well, just
There's two parts of
because
that.
there was two parts of that, because there was that, and then there was the still photography, I think was under the film
Is
application
it, yeah, you
also.
want to do,
So.
you
that
want to do
wasn't
two separate
too-
items?
I did it as a
Two separate.
separate application.
okay.
So the photography, you want to do that separately.
Well, it's up to you.
It's up to you guys.
It's a lot easier just
Yeah.
this one we should just.
So that's-
Yeah.
pass.
I would just ask that you obviously let me know when you're coming to do it.
By
Just in
all
case we have a
means.
funeral or something. We
Exactly.
could have a procession arrive in the middle of your video. Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
wouldn't want
So
that
just,
to
yeah,
happen.
yeah, let me know.
Thank you, I will.
Yeah.
Okay, so this motion will be just for future filming of the Friends and Kevin giving his presentation. So, okay, so so can I entertain a motion to accept the film application, future film application on behalf of Concord? It's the
Concord Chamber of Commerce,
Concord Chamber of Commerce, Friends of Sleepy.
subject to the condition that
Subject.
Kevin coordinates the timing with Tish.
Subject to the coordination that Kevin coordinates.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right, I'll start with myself. I'm an I. Gary?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Terrific. So moved. Okay. So then moving to the second part, Kevin, if you will. So I know there had been some photographs already. Maybe if you'd like to just discuss that and
Sure.
inform the committee.
Sure. I start with an apology that, and I'm totally responsible for it, that we have used in some of our publications, and we have three publications, that we have used particular pictures of family burial sites. Totally my oversight that I did not come to you and seek permission. I listed those in the letter, in my cover letter, and they were particularly the Mary Lemus Titcomb, George Gray, and George Prescott. They were listed in several, the pictures of those grave sites were in several of our publications. The other use that used photographs where you recall at the end of May of 2022, we sent out to every residence in town a brochure detailing our 20 years of achievements, what we had done in the cemetery. And once again, we used pictures. Again, my fault. We did not come to you. I did not come to you and seek clearance. And Tish was very kind to bring those up. They were the addition to the ones that I mentioned. There was the one of Lemuel Small and Margaret Lothrop. So they were in that publication, which has already gone out. So it's a fait accompli, if you will. But we are seeking permission to continue to use those, if in your judgment, to be able to use those that are in, particularly our map, or a fold-out map, which has pictures of stones and also gives a narrative, gives a description, excuse me, of the importance of that gravesite in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. So it is definitely after the fact. And again, I come to you with my apology of not following protocol. The learning curve is going out. So, by the way, may I also say that one of our board members this year, Priscilla White Sturgis, who is our one of our board members for longstanding, and is also our graphic specialist.
Well, okay, so I guess, I look at it as, past digressions are kind of past digressions, but that you would like to continue to use these pamphlets as kind of a more important issue.
One of the things is we have an inventory of the maps. We reprinted a couple of years ago, and for economy's sake, we print a large number, and those are sold through vendors in town. So the goal would be to use those up. If the permission is not granted to use those particular stones, we would of course revamp our map to get non-family, non-personal ones.
Also, I just want to add that I actually, all the photos in that brochure I took. And so I have them sort of as my stock of photos. And I just need to know if I can continue to use them for various things that we do going forward.
Okay.
So it's important for me to know that. So Kevin's taking the blame for all of this, but he shouldn't, because a lot of it's on me.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Thank you. we certainly recognize the Friends do a lot of work for the cemetery, and we're grateful, and we know that everything's done, not intended to breach rules or violate, but just all good intentions. So great. So again, I don't know. I see the issue as more going forward, the usage of these images, the continuation of the maps. I don't know, Tish, is there, the history to it, and
The only two that you've gotten permission for a number of them over the years, the four that you don't have are Margaret Lothrop and Mary Titcomb, who both are basically public figures. Now that we know who Mary Titcomb is. George Gray and Lemuel Small are not public figures at all. George Gray has a very nice headstone, and you guys cleaned it, but he's not a public figure in any way. And Lem Small had my job many years ago. You guys added his date to his headstone, but doesn't make him a public figure.
Good.
Those are the two I would question.
So just a historical question. The headstones were clean as a result of the donations made by the Friends who brought in a professional.
They did it themselves.
Oh, so this was.
They made a request, through Rick Fries. Rick Fries identified it was 5 or 6 Civil War veterans stones that he wanted to clean, and with the help of a professional, they came in and did it themselves.
Oh.
Yeah, so they did clean it.
But it was done
Yes.
under, it was done under their supervision.
Correct. Yes,
and it was that.
to Lem Smalls. Yeah.
Have efforts been made to contact those individuals? I'm assuming yes.
No.
The family that you
George
have
Gray
met
and Lem
with.
Small.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that those pictures existed.
So.
No, it's nothing that we would,
Not
and
to
it's
alarm
nothing we don't.
anybody, but just to point out.
We don't usually
there's
try
a
to find
range
something.
of responses. Extreme negative, extreme positive. That the extreme negative is no, you can't use them, take everything down, start all over again, you can't use them. To the extreme positive, which is you're good, you're fine, keep going, and you can use them. I don't think we should consider the extremes. Yeah, I think we should consider something more in the middle of the road here, particularly for the folks who are non-public figures. I mean, one could make the argument that the folks who are the public figures.
That's the thing. And Mary Titcomb, I wouldn't have known who she was 5, 6 years ago, whenever
Yeah.
that was.
We didn't.
But it was none of us knew.
Yeah.
Somebody brought it to our attention. She was, no, that's Anne Rainsford French Bush. Mary Titcomb had the first bookmobile.
The bookmobile.
Yeah, and she didn't have a headstone. A woman came looking for her. She didn't have a headstone because she was one of the last people to die in her family. So nobody had ever gotten her a stone. So this woman worked with the Friends and they got her a headstone. Yeah. Yeah, she was kind of happy to do that. And Margaret Lothrop is a public figure.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really Lem Small and George Gray are kind of too problematic. So Kevin, how does that?
So the gray, the one, what's his name?
George Gray.
George Gray?
George Gray. That photo was taken to document the fact that we did this cleaning project.
Mhm.
There's no reason why we need to ever use that again.
Okay.
So that we can just,
Just,
get rid of it.
Mhm.
The other one, I can't remember what the other one.
Lem Small, you added his date of death. His
So
date of
is
death
that
had never
the
been added.
Square one?
It's on the, where is it?
Hold on. I'm gonna try this.
Sorry.
No, no, no.
We were hoping to not have to share screens.
They were using the gray.
It's
The mailing.
it's not that, no, Lem Small. It's none of those that I can see.
But again,
But this doesn't hurt your maps, because I think you maps.
the maps is something that we need to.
Yeah.
It might be, is it on the pamphlet? I don't know.
If they're printed.
Maybe it's on the
But there's no
pamphlet.
reason to
That's
say
George Gray
that
dirty.
When this inventory is gone, or when it begins to get more depleted, that we go out and order new ones and we can make any changes.
I can't imagine George Gray or Lem Small would be
Oh,
on
it's
the
on the
map.
pamphlet?
No, they're in the
No, it's
pamphlet.
not.
Yeah,
There
they're
was
not on the
pamphlet.
map.
So it's,
No, it's not this one.
yeah, it is, it is,
Could be
this is
down.
this is the piece, but
No.
I just don't remember what photograph. it is. Oh, there we go. Keep going.
right there on the left.
Oh,
There it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was one of our projects, yes,
And there's
Because we
George
added the
Gray.
date.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
one on the right is the one that we cleaned.
that's right,
Yeah.
exactly right.
So. I can just make note. In my files that they just can't be used. And it's not a problem for us. There's no reason why we really would need to use them again. So that's fine.
There was also another name, Tish, that you gave me, George Prescott.
Questionable too. He's locally famous. Yeah, maybe not nationally, but locally. Yeah, so that's something that you could approve. And I think the Prescott family probably would be okay with it. But because he's very locally famous.
So is that the one that's on the map? That's that question? It's the photos that are on the map that
I don't have your current, I don't have your
Yeah.
current.
I don't have it either, I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, I think he's not listed as a map man. He's listed in several of our projects, and I think he was on the,
He was one of the ones that was cleaned at the same
he
time
was
as
in the
George Gray.
brochure, I believe.
Okay, so I think it's the map. That we need to be concerned about because that's an ongoing. Thing that gets.
I haven't seen a map in a long time,
It's-
so I could get,
Yeah.
Are they
I'll
out?
When you want to.
Yeah.
You and I.
I'll get you on.
Yeah, we can look.
Do
Yeah.
that.
Because we would come to you anyway when we go through another printing, because if there were changes we should make, as we did the second printing.
Do we want to table this then to next meeting? So you have a chance. Oh, sorry.
Well, I think we have a motion where we can clarify the use of the current materials. Identify the photographs that are not going to be used ever again, and then specify that the map be presented for review here before it goes to the next printing. And I think that all would address
It
all of
just needs
the,
to be reviewed before.
Sure,
yeah, is that,
that's fine with us, by all means, yeah.
and but this allows you to, now, are we violating any procedure, rules by allowing the current materials to,
They're not on the map.
okay.
So I'm sure the ones that are in question are not on the map. There's no reason to have them on the map.
Yeah, and the pamphlet is basically finished.
Yeah,
It's gone.
Yeah,
We
it's
won't
done.
use it again.
that's done.
Jerry?
Yeah, so here's a question. Tish, are you aware of any, has anybody ever tried to develop a regulation or a policy, or has anything ever been discussed or written down as far as allowing photography in the cemetery, specifically photographing gravestones?
It's a state law.
I know.
Okay,
State law. Yep.
thank you.
Yeah,
Good.
any use other than private has to be approved by the governing body.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, if the stone is very public, like on Arthur's Bridge or people,
Yeah.
then it's just like
Yeah.
kind of a last cause because it's going to show up.
Yeah, it's those families are used to seeing things
Yeah.
in some places. George Gray's family, maybe not.
Well, that was gonna be
Yeah.
my question. When it was used, did anybody complain? I
That's
mean,
why.
yeah.
You don't know the law.
Well, but still, if there was a
I do.
family member that was seeing a family's stone on there and it came to my house, I would have called
Correct.
and made some kind of comments.
A lot of
So,
these people don't live around here anymore.
well, that's the other thing. If they're
Yeah,
not-
I'm sure it's Concord.
And the Friends did some improved each of these.
Yeah.
Too. So I mean, I think as a family, I'd be very grateful. You got,
The intention
It's intention.
fantastic.
So Rod, I'm maybe gonna throw it to you because you seemed like you had a good handle on emotion here. How you like to deal with these. And I think the committee seems kind of. You remember your wording from a few seconds ago?
This is the problem. Okay, so this is a three-part motion. So with that, I'd like to move that the committee approve the current use of printed materials until they are used up. If there is going to be a repeat of a printed material, most particularly the map and the proposed map and images come back to the committee just for review to make sure that we're all on the same page with
Clearly.
respect to privacy and those regulations. And as third, we designated that George Gray and Lemuel Small are, because they're not public, that they're not going to be used in the future.
I will second that. All right, so let's go to a roll call vote. I'll start with myself. I'm an aye. Rod? Aye. Jeff? Aye. Gary?
Aye.
Great. So, thank you again. You know, we certainly understand trying to follow the right path, but rules and regulations easily just get away with, so they're coming today. So we have D6, because we're still
here.
busy, Kevin, still very busy, the whole group. So D6 monument application from the Friends of Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Kevin, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you. For a while, it has been a goal of the Friends to recall what used to be called Gold Star Mothers. And several of our members, and I must give recognition here to Susan D., who has been in the forefront of this cause, if you will, recalling that at a place called Bill's Garden, there once were, you were probably all familiar with, they're usually on a stand, and it was a circular with a gold star, and it was honoring Gold Star mothers. That's not there any longer. So we've come forward with a proposal that would honor Concord's Gold Star families. The appellation has now been changed from mothers to family, which seems to me to be highly appropriate. So the board of directors decided that it would be a good project for us for 2023. So we went ahead and appropriated some funds, which we understand in your favor. We need to go forward to the town to get approval for the gifting. The total amount would be in the area of almost $3,000. And what we would propose to do is to have a bench installed, a granite bench, a la the ones we had gifted in 2007 to the cemetery in various locales of the cemetery. I think there were 6 or 7 of them. They were either in gray granite or a rose-colored Vermont granite. We've kind of looked at the gray and said, that seems kind of more appropriate. So we've gone to a gentleman by the name of Dennis Devaney, who owns a stone company in Waltham, because he did the ones in 2007 for us. And we asked him for a quote and a sketch, and he gave it to us, and you folks have that, I understand, in your packet. Through the suggestion of the committee, Tish and I met the other day and looked at Bill's Garden and where would the bench fit in that appropriate place. The best we can find, and I'm sure all of us read in the recent edition of The Bridge, that one of the town's I call her town historian, Beth Van Duzer, is doing some investigation as to where did that name come from, who was he? I think they've concluded that there was something to do with veterans in town. So we thought that the position there of the bench would be highly appropriate. And Tish and I looked at several pieces of land that would fit nicely into that particular spot. So the design would be a granite bench in honor of Concord's Gold Star families. And the design is a bit misleading because our name is too big. We're not doing it for ourselves. We're doing it in this cause. So the Friends of Sleepy Hollow would perhaps be just engraved on the side of the bench rather than on the back, and the letters that he proposed are really too large. So we would work with him together to be smaller because it's not about us. Although we would like to just have our name there that 200 years from now, somebody remembers that we existed and did something. So that's the proposal. And you have his application as well as his design. As we looked at this with the board, a couple of things came out. One person suggested perhaps we could have some gold around the Gold Star families, and maybe they could be raised a bit. But that will depend on how he comes up with the design. We would of course work with Tish on it, and also for the installation. He would do the foundation as well as the placement of the bench in the appropriate spots.
And that's the spot we came up with is marked by those 2 stakes.
Yeah, oh, yeah, thanks for the stakes. Good, good. You said you were gonna do those. Perfect. Yeah.
So
Okay.
how do you expect, how do you expect someone to face when they sit? What would be the natural progression? I'm visiting and my grandmother was a Gold Star mom and I want to think about her. Am I going to be facing us or am I going to be facing away from us?
So the plaque that we have reads from this direction. If you can see the plaque that's in front of the flagpole. So I would think it would face in the same way, that it would say in honor of Concord's Gold Star families, reading from here, looking towards Bedford Street. That's how I picture it.
Yes, that's the way we do too.
Yeah, okay.
It would all be focused.
Yeah, so it's all facing in the same direction.
And we would bring out Dennis, I think, to take a look at the spot before he begins any construction. You had
Yeah,
talked
he's
about,
fine.
there may be a foundation underneath or some.
There could be,
stonage.
yeah. So when I started here, there were two approximately, maybe a little further to the left of those stakes, there were two metal pipes. We never knew what they were for. We had heard rumors of a gold star, but had never seen it. So we cut those pipes out years ago, but suspected they were attached to something a little more solid underneath the ground. But that's Dennis's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. There could be a foundation in that ground, but it's okay. We'll manage.
Archaeology.
Yes.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate the presentation. So we'll just open it up for committee questions.
So specifically, Kevin, is now the revised design going to have the Friends of Sleepy Hollow on the sides of the bench?
Yeah.
On the sides, not on the back or the front.
No,
So if you're gonna have this Friends of Sleepy Hollow on both sides, I would suggest you put in honor of Concord's Gold Star families on both, on the long ends.
that's right. Oh, in the front.
In the front?
Yeah.
And the back will just be plain?
Yeah.
Okay, and you'll have Friends of Sleepy Hollow on both sides?
I think we were just thinking one side.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Again, it's not about us.
okay. It was just, it was a little confusing from the, from the presentation.
Yeah, I kind of pushed him on that and said, I really need it like tomorrow. So when we were coming in April,
Well, he's smart, you're the customer.
I mean, March, we're coming in March, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So just, will we see the revised
Surely.
version of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, by all means.
And then, of course, coordinate with Tish.
Yes, yeah, will not be done without Tish's coordination.
Terrific. Any other questions for Kevin on the project or any other comments? Terrific. So seeing no further discussion, entertain a motion to accept the Friends of Sleepy Hollow Cemetery's monument application to the Gold Star families of Concord as presented in the documents we received and in coordination with Tish. Is there
With a request for the final design.
with
Yeah.
a request for the final
design,
design?
so we just have a copy.
By all means.
Okay, terrific.
So moved.
So second, terrific. We'll do a roll call vote. Jerry?
Aye.
Myself is an aye. Jeff?
Aye.
Rod?
Aye.
Success. And then I'll just say, I grew up in the neighborhood with Mrs. Dickey and her son,
Oh,
Thomas.
yeah.
Thomas Dickey passed away in
Yeah.
Vietnam, and
She was one of the most well-known.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
She
35,
was our
40
last
years
one.
later, she
Yeah.
was still flying the Marine
Yeah.
flag at her house and on her car every day. So
Someone puts a
Uh,
gold star flag at her grave. from
Do they
Memorial Day.
really?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
yeah,
She was somebody else.
Yeah.
Could I have the indulgence of the group just to make a little bit of announcement of where we are? You'll recall that we have gifted to the town as in for our 20th anniversary, the replication of the gold lettering over the Knoll Gate. We have just received word that they are almost near completion. So we're coming very close. Our destination date for the installer is June 10th, hoping maybe a little bit early. So the request, Tish, is that they will contact you to work out installation time and.
Yeah. It's like to be aware of funerals and stuff. Yeah.
They're a company from Canton and they have met our specs with regard to what they look like. They will be gold and it should be an enhancement. And what I like to say is a historical connection with the old part of the cemetery as well as being able to even further identify the knoll as part of Sleepy Hollow. So we're very proud of that. So we look forward to seeing that come to
Was the
resolution.
letters gonna be black?
Well, maybe the color he sent me was, yeah, you're right. I remind you, I'll be glad.
I think that we put the gold, I'm pretty sure my recollection is in all of our meetings and
Yeah.
discussions that the gold is
Just double check
still
that, because I don't
to be
recall.
I
discussed.
know Sylvia mentioned that to me after the meeting, and I had told her that, I think I told her that black had been approved, but the gold hadn't, so if they were gonna
Okay.
change the color, that it needed to be a
Okay.
request.
Good
It
point.
hasn't been approved here,
Correct.
No,
but
Okay.
even our decision to even make it gold has not been decided.
Oh, okay.
With
Oh,
our
you said
board.
gold. so I
yeah,
was
yeah,
confused.
because the picture he sent about to it was gold. The other thing is that we're not even sure that he could do it in gold. And so some people had said, what about connecting with his name escapes me, our sign maker in town,
Billy Crosby.
Billy Crosby, to see if we could do it. But you're right, we were approved for black and still stay so, unless we come back to you. Sure. It may be prohibited, cost may be prohibited. So thank you very much for everything.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. We really appreciate all you do. You're a great asset to the town, to the
Thank you.
cemetery. Appreciate it. A lot of volunteer hours and Andrea does one heck of a job as your representative here.
He
every
brings
week.
back every single one.
Yeah, it's good. Keep good.
Thank you.
All right. thank
You've always sent excellent liaisons, by the way.
Over.
We've had always a good connection, which is good. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Hello, Aaron. To see you.
are you? Good to
Fine.
see you as well.
Great. Okay, so moving on to D7 chair comments. I don't have too many comments here. Jerry, I know did you do a presentation on TV on the community channel, or is that yet to be presented?
Yeah, I never heard anything back, so I'll have to pursue it. I reached out, just for the record, I reached out to, what is it, Minuteman Media,
Mhm.
with an idea for some, end of life, death care, bereavement kind of stuff, including, cemeteries, but haven't heard anything back.
Great. Well, I think people would be really interested in that, so I hope they get back to you and
One way or another.
Fantastic. All right, terrific. We can circle back to D1, Aaron. I know you came in a few minutes late. Tish did a fantastic presentation.
That might be
covered-
a stretch.
Yeah, no, it covered all the points, but is there anything that
I have a
particular?
few things, if that's all right.
Yeah,
That's
please,
all right.
please.
I apologize for being late. I will start off with the good news, reason I was late. So we took in a check for our first month land lot this afternoon.
Hey, all right.
Dropped off at the townhouse, so along with 2 signed copies of the memorandum of agreement, the purchaser, and the executed town manager shortly. So moving forward with the purchase.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting. Yeah, I wanted to waste no time. Yeah, that's good news. Couple of things I do have just for the committee to be aware of, upcoming meetings. We'll have a May and a June meeting. Couple important things we'll need to make sure we get, and I think we talked about July and August being off, and we're going to meetings in September. But a couple of things to take note is town meeting is April 30th at 1300 at the high school. Following town meeting, we'll need to elect a new chair, new vice chair for this committee. So you might want to start to interview the community members. I think interest holding those 2. But also note that it may be good for at least one committee member to be in attendance at town meeting. There are a couple articles that were relative to the cemetery. One is the CPC article. There is an application in CPC which was endorsed and approved by CPC going forward at town meeting. With the other CPC approved projects to be funded for the stone wall design and reconstruction of Sleepy Hollow. So in case there's a question or anticipated to be a question, usually not the past for individual projects, but usually those are vetted at the public hearing process. But it might be good to have a member of the committee there to speak to if you'd like to, either as a resident or if there's a question specifically for the cemetery committee, you can get a representative to get up there and talk about it. I will personally be in attendance. Typically town staff don't talk at town meeting unless we're called upon by our committee or by the town manager. So, maybe if there's thoughts on if anybody's already planning on attending or not.
Rod's all over that. He's our best speaker as far on.
I don't anticipate, questions or comments on the project, but it's always good to be prepared. I'll have some notes ready to go, in case there is. The second article that's there is a citizen petition to modify the construction noise bylaw that affects the use of leaf blowers. In case you may or may not have seen this in other meetings. There was a select board meeting discussion about it this past Monday. There's been some other meetings, public meetings. I think it was the FinCom meeting a couple weeks prior. I'm sure there's all kinds of chatter about that. That would affect our maintenance operations at City Hall. So I haven't been, I was actually, I don't know the backstory, but I got to supply some comments to the town manager this week, but it's already kind of been endorsed. The select board voted on Monday 2 to 3 to endorse the citizen petition. So it's moving forward, it'll be a town meeting. So just in case there's questions that come up from the public body about how that will affect the cemetery, because I have personally been asked how it will affect the cemetery, and I've answered those questions with some individual resident meetings that we've had with the petitioner, as well as some very interested residents in that subject. We'll provide some comments to the bridge last week. So there'll be an article probably Friday about it. They said there was going to be my comments will be in there along with that. It's just heads up that would have definitely potentially affect our operation.
That would affect operations for parks and
Everybody.
public.
So
Yeah.
I would also note this, that the Public Works Commission, which Andrew's a member of, is going to be on the docket for discussion at next Wednesday night meeting. They're going to be, I think, taking that, I believe, makes an agenda item, and the commission may or may not take an opinion on the subject. So that might be a, well, this committee not taking it, I think take a motion or something right now, but there will be, I'm sure, lively discussion at that meeting. The petitioner is also a commissioner, or works commissioner. It's a citizen petition also. So I'm sure there'll be a lively discussion next week. So, and I'll probably provide a comment there as well. So we thought that could be another opportunity for community members to attend, speak as individuals at that.
Seems like these petitions come forward almost every year. It feels like last year there was a petition that was kind of withdrawn.
It was 2019.
2019.
No, I don't think I made it to the floor.
It withdrew, he withdrew it, yeah. I think this is a different person.
This is a different person.
Different
Yes. Different person, different language. The language is on the. So, look at that.
And the hard part is really the technology's not there.
Right, yeah, I mean, yeah, yes, yeah, we do have electric leaf blowers. We have electric mowers, we have electric leaf trimmers, we have electric trucks, electric cars, hybrid vehicles. We are making, the push we have been for about 4 or 5 years now to purchase electric equipment. The leaf blowers, the technology is really not there yet to meet the needs of our operation or commercial operation. That's a major concern. That's what I've said from the beginning. I believe there's some proposed modifications to the original warrant, but you never know, that can also be modified again on the floor. So I just wanted to provide that kind of high level information to the committee. Individual committee members have questions, want to email me afterward. Review our, if you haven't already seen it, answer question. That's it somewhere. Good.
Aaron, just one comment. It might be well worthwhile comparing, now that you've had the experience with the electric lawnmowers, comparing like how they compared with the gasoline lawnmowers that the town had used. And, noise, for
Yeah.
example. I'm not so sure that there's that big of a difference, but maybe there is.
So I can tell you, so we have 2 electric lawnmowers.
Yep.
One standard, one ride on, and
Yep.
one push.
I use my little one downtown. I do.
Well, we've incorporated them in our operation.
Sure.
They have not successfully replaced
No.
the other gas powered, diesel
Yep.
powered
Yep.
equipment that we have in our operation.
Yep.
It's a good complement. We use it in areas that are high visibility, or areas that are smaller areas that we can successfully mow that don't kind of put a damper on our operation, right? Because we have a mission to meet, and it takes twice as long, depending on, right?
Sometimes
Or
more than
longer.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but
Because
this-
it's charged, there's a lot of things that go into it.
Yeah, but this is relevant.
Yeah,
All of this is relevant, and it's an experiment that you've already done.
Right.
You already have the data.
Right, and we've done that, and we're doing a lot of different things across the board. You know, we've just, we have a purchase right now, $10,000, more than $10,000 of electric equipment that we are purchasing right now, and we'll have in a couple months for this year's program. And included in that, there are all the things that I mentioned, and more. And so we're investing in heavily, it's just the technology not there to completely replace everything else. So,
Well, there's such a huge, I mean, there's so much discussion on online groups about budgets and like, they can't possibly think you're gonna go out and buy all this equipment to make everything quieter, right? Or do,
Yeah, and there's still a noise factor, so I think I've heard
Yeah.
arguments for lots of different things, like the emissions, the noise, the cost, right? It's all a factor, and it all kind of factors in the cost. It's a lot of money. And it's the number of batteries, and then it's where we charge all these batteries, and then, you know, where we're storing everything, you know, it's lithium ion, it's there, you know, we take in lithium ion batteries, we don't leave them in the office, because in case they catch fire, right? And, so we have, there's a price point, and then it's the number of, you know, how efficient are they as well? You only have so many staff, so the efficiency is half, and then we're hiring twice as many people, and it's the fine balance. We do have, those are our concerns in general. And you know, and I will also say this, like I said before, my concern is where when folks talk about, or people talk about an exemption for municipalities. I personally, from an operations standpoint, I'm not a fan of that, because then it puts a target on us as, you know, civil servants and those who are tasked to maintain the public. When you have a resident that's upset that they cannot use something, but the government has an exemption to it, then that puts us in the middle of, you know, essentially an argument between the residents and the voters, right? So that puts us as employees in a very tough position. Also, I would note that just a caution of, well, there's a municipal exemption. Okay. And we will then get phone calls. Why are, you know, from the angry person it's not able to use it because they're told by their government they can't use it, but the government still uses it. That happens. And I see that happening potentially. And, you know, we're here to serve everybody. So it's kind of makes it tough to do that. So.
Yeah.
So that'll be, and I'm sure there's lively discussions going on. I've heard, especially to make it highlighted this last month meeting on Monday. So, again, if anybody has questions now or later.
Just, I mean, comment, I use electric leaf blowers now, battery powered leaf blowers, because my neighbor very noise sensitive. And so I've been using it. It's a neighborly thing to do. And, you know, I have one backyard. It's a good thing I'm retired because I can take my time and I can just do it. But it does take a lot longer. It does. So I need the exercise, you know.
I see you walking everywhere.
That's so I can
Yeah.
do the leaf blower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they don't last very long at all, and they can't make the batteries much bigger because you can't carry it. You know, carry it on your back, so.
Right. We've experimented with the backpack.
The one I have is the backpack, yeah.
How's the experience?
So it's not so bad with the leaf blower, honestly, because I can stand straight up. It only lasts for about 45 minutes, so and then it takes like 2 hours to charge it up.
Yeah.
The weed whacker I don't like because it's a backpack one too, but I have to lean down. That only lasted 26 minutes and I was extremely happy when it died because my back was killing. Just because of the way you lean with the weight on your back. Yeah, it was just, yeah, it's a heavy battery.
Yeah.
It's on your back. Yeah. So the weed whacker. So I gave it to the Parks Department. Yeah, see if they like it.
that goes to budget again, to hire a bunch more people. I mean, it just doesn't work out numbers wise.
It's frustrating too, when you have literally 15 minutes left of work to do and it dies. You
And
can't
you
just
can't
go
just
fill it up and finish. You have to go charge it up. For, yeah. And you don't, you do 45 minutes and you hope that's enough. Yeah. Yeah. Frustrating.
That's all I have.
But we do it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, that's, thanks for bringing such great news for the first part of your comments anyways, and tempered by this. So committee member comments, D8, anyone want to share?
I have a question for Aaron. Okay, and that is this is sort of what happens events. So town will have the town meeting, presumably the CPC application will get approved. Then do you go and do a request for proposals? You pull in the money from the cemetery fund and you get a check from the CPC. What happens?
So once town meeting authorizes the expenditure of the CPC funding, then we're waiting on finance department to let us know when that funding can then be used. Depends on the type of funding. Whether it's like an enterprise, general fund, CPC, on the date. Some funds that are voted on, an article that voted on town meeting can be spent the next day. Some have to wait till July 1st. Some have to wait till this bonding is done.
Okay.
So I'm not the finance director, so I can't comment on that, what the date is, but let's say somewhere around July 1st, right? For general, most monies can be spent. So once we know town meeting's authorized it, I've already given the town manager's office and Alec, after I'm the director, a heads up that we're gonna need additional funding from the trustees. There's trustees, there's funding, donations, and money available in trustees accounts specifically for the cemetery. So we're gonna complement the money from the CPC. So that money, the request that to get made, the trustees will approve the request, and then once we have the fund balance, then we'll start working on an RFP. We'll work on our getting a designer right here. Most likely, we might be able to, since that designer that did the initial assessment is under contract currently with town public works for other services. We might be able to expand to them. Create a design. Once we have a design and construction documents, then we go out to bid for the construction. It's awarded, and construction starts.
So it sounds like construction would start in 2024,
Potentially, yeah, spring of 24.
spring of 2024, that you go through the design portion.
Correct.
And
And it
then,
takes a while, unless,
yeah.
you know.
no, I'm
Depends
just.
on how fast, like realistically,
Yeah.
the construction projects, the design, we're going to the winter season. You know, it's bid, it's awarded over the winter time, and then construction starts.
So we start-
The spring of 2024.
So
Yeah,
that's great. So in terms of, we'll start seeing how well it goes and how expensive each repair is during the 2024 summer and autumn season. We'll get some actual data. Was our budget estimate for a given wall correct, or did it wind up being under budget or over budget? And that'll inform us for the grant proposal that we write for the remainder of the stone wall. Okay. Thank you. That's great. So 2024 will be the time we gather information, and then we decide where we go to ask for the money to complete the stone wall project. This year, I'd like to again repeat my request, if it's at all possible in the budget, to do an engineering study on all metal structures in all of our cemeteries, similar to what you did for the stone walls, so that whenever that information is gathered, we can basically roll this out again and do another CPC grant for the repair and restoration of all of the metal structures. And, you know, some of the fences, some of the gates are going to need, you know, a considerable amount of work. There's a lot of corrosion. Anyway, that seemed to be a winning strategy, so why not use it again? Okay. And it'll also be a great opportunity to go back to the grant committee and say, lay out exactly what was happening with the stone walls and why, you know, the timeline, and then say, well, we've learned a lot, and here's what we do with the metal. Get money that way.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I had a question.
I'm done.
In the minutes, we were talking about, and I didn't remember this discussion, an issue that's coming up about the split of funding for the cemeteries. Can somebody kind of give me a little background to what that issue is and where we stand right now?
Sure, I think probably Aaron's probably best to speak to
So you're
it.
talking about split of funding sources.
So I think it's 70-30. So
Yes.
it's currently 70-30.
It was, yes.
There's a change.
Correct. So the way the budget process works is sometime late summer, early fall, the town manager sends out a budget directive to all department heads and division heads. and informing us what our limits are, and instructing us basically, to submit a proposed budget, department request budget, to the town manager's office by a given date. And usually there is a instruction on whether it's level funded, full service, if there's a percentage cap, any requests you want, it's very detailed. So that's sent out in seconds. From that point, then we then develop our budget, look at for last year, what we expended, what our needs are, and develop a budget, proposed budget that would meet our potential operation needs and then capital needs that's within those constraints of the directive. The division managers and department managers don't determine how the budget is funded. That is a question for finance and CFO and nothing. So I supplied a proposed budget. The request included an additional headcount for the cemetery specialist, and that meeting was in the October-November range. But then goes to the town manager and finance. They put together every other department's budget, and then they do the final together budget book published. But then that talks about funding sources and how the town's going to fund the entire general fund budget. This year was proposed that there's a shift and it is entirely funded out of the cemetery fund. Decision that's above much of my level. So I can't speak to necessarily why. They have to make that. They have to fund the budget. And that was one of what I was told, that was one of the ways we were able to fund the additional headcount. That's as much information as I have. So that's a question for if you have you read the budget book?
I have it.
I don't know how well that's answering your question, but those are decisions that are made much above mine. And I think that I hope that somebody's going to look and projected future years. I don't think that's my understanding is that's not how it's going to be funded for every year moving forward. That was a one-time change for FY24.
And that was really my question. I was understanding the long-term impact of that funding and how much, we have in our account to fund that over a longer period of time. Okay.
I would anticipate that goes back in the fourth. And I would personally make the case that the final decision is on that.
And as a committee, we can make a recommendation.
Absolutely.
But we don't but we don't have control. We can make a recommendation. Sure.
But I assume if it became a problem, you let us know so that we can make recommendations. And I'm still trying to learn the operating budget and make sure we have enough money in addition to the friends helping out.
The cemetery budget is unique in the fact that the cemetery as a division generates revenue, but it's not a revolving fund or enterprise fund. So it's able to kind of self-source some of the expenses that are incurred. And so every town is different, and every budget year is different. So historically, it's been 70 from the cemetery fund, 30 fund.
Thank you.
And one follow-up question, Aaron, the mausoleum check, does that get deposited and credited to the cemetery?
So 400,000 will be deposited into the cemetery fund. 400,000 will be deposited into the perpetual care fund. And then there's a third fund which will be created as a trust fund for the future maintenance as outlined in the local regulations.
Yes.
So that'll be used specific for future maintenance needs for repairs. And that third check for 800 there to $85,533 will be deposited into that.
Thanks.
Great, seeing no other committee member comments. We'll move to D9 public comments. Andrea, we've had quite a coverage from the friends tonight. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
That was all the news.
Wonderful. All the news that fit the sprinkle. Yeah, good, wonderful. All right, and not seeing any other public and no further business on our agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second? Second. Great. And we'll do a roll call. Ron? Aye. Jeff? Aye. Jerry?
Aye.
Self is an aye. So Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
See you, Jerry.
I,